Okay, we are at the top of the hour. What are we doing? Already moving. There we go. We're at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. For the sake of time, I know that Dan has a lot to go over, so we'll make sure we have enough time for that. So, welcome to Platform Analytics Academy. If you're first time here, welcome. If you're a returner, welcome as well. We're always happy to see everybody here. So, quickly go over some logistical information, then we'll get right into the content. So, Safe Harbor. Obviously, we want to make sure we always mention this, and there could be some things that Dan mentions today, definitely that you should definitely keep this in mind, especially if there's some things about Australia that's coming or whatnot. So just make sure that you keep Safe Harbor in mind as you listening to everything today. Make sure to utilize in the Q&A. Let's put all questions in the Q&A if we can, rather than the chat. There will be other panelists, or there are other panelists on that will be able to answer questions as well as we do them live whenever we can. So if there's a question during a certain part where Dan is going over, then we can stop and ask that question. If not, we'll get to all the questions at the end. And again, if some comes in that somebody can answer via type, they'll do that as well. So the presentation is being recorded. It'll be out in the community in a couple days. Of course, it'll be out on YouTube as well. And there is a short survey at the end if you don't mind filling that out. It kind of helps us determine what we do in the future for you and also how well we're doing these events. So please feel free to give us all the information that you can. I am Thomas. I'm always your host, and we have Dan here as well. Dan's of course, as a host, and he's also going to be presenting today. And then I know that we have Olga on and Marta, and I see that Quentin showed up. So thank you, Quentin. I apologize that I didn't get your picture there. Didn't know you was coming today, but that's super awesome that you did decide to come. And I believe that Mike may try to pop in if he can. So today we're going to talk about getting ready for platform analytics, values, gaps, and fixes. So a lot of this, or most of this, has to do with just moving over to platform analytics from maybe the core UI and some fixes and gaps and values and different things that we have there. So Dan has done an extensive amount of research to pull a lot of this information together. So we wanted to make sure that he gets some time to talk about it. So with that, Dan, you can take over whenever you'd like.
All right, and it's okay if I do my screen, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Just making sure. Of course, there we go. My interface is slightly different. So anytime it looks slightly different, the interface always, it always takes a little learning curve. All right, Hey, I think I'm even. So right now you should be seeing the slide deck, right?
You do see it. Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, what we're talking about here today is getting ready for platform analytics, and that so the idea is I've posted a document, an article out on the community, which I'll go to in just a moment here. That really is really kind of it's supposed to be a comprehensive article that you can go back to over and over again to find new updates, new value propositions. But the idea is that we're trying to just kind of have a one-stop shop to share with your organization or to use as a resource guide. We will eventually some of this will be broken up into smaller pieces, but we wanted to get this out here, and we have some additional resources that are planned. One of the things I'm going to ask near the end of the session is I'd like to get your feedback on what are some of the most important, because I have a few different resources that might be useful that are about 75% ready to go. And I'd like to get some of your feedback on which would be the ones we should target first. So keep that in mind as we get towards the end here as well. I want to share I gotta remember how I'm gonna share my other screen here. Share. So I briefly want to go to, there we go. All right, so sharing now is the article as it appears in the community right now. And I'll just do just a quick note on this. Thomas already mentioned the safe harbor disclaimer. I want to add the additional disclaimer for this document, and that is this is not kind of in this note on the screen here right now. This is not considered official ServiceNow documentation. It is community guidance based on our analysis of support cases, field experience, community feedback. So while it's created by us, this represents practical tips and known issues, but is not official documentation. So in other words, if we're saying something like, here's a workaround. It's a workaround that we've got out there that we think may work in some cases, but is not a guarantee that it's going to work in all cases. So just that update. So, and then just there definitely will be some future looking statements. Most of them are Australia based. So the good news is Australia is all but baked in, set in stone at this point. So I feel pretty confident about the Australia statements. But again, keep in mind that things can and do still change. So it's organized as different sections. And I wanted to make it so that it's something that's, because it is long. It is a big long article. So I wanted to have some sections that can make it easier to try to navigate around. So, for example, when we talk, there's a section on visualization issues or gaps that have come up from different customers. There's an easy way to get to that versus filtering versus migration itself. And that's the other piece I want to say about this is then one of our major themes is this is not about migration specifically. There certainly is a lot of migration content in here, but it's also about just getting used to using using platform analytics experience, whether or not you have actually done any or all of the migration. All right, let me switch my screen back to my slide deck, and we'll go on with my slides. So we mentioned the safe harbor. Boy, I know if we've mentioned it enough. If you're not familiar yet, things can change. So our basic agenda for this, and this is really following the flow of the blog or the article. We're talking about, so this covers a lot of the why upgrade considerations. And again, the article covers a lot of this, and we'll just be doing a quick survey of that here in this presentation. Specifically getting ready for Australia, what you need to know, some of the common migration issues, fixed status and roadmap. So there will be suggestions in this about when specific items either have already been fixed or when they will be fixed or updated going forward. There will be a lot of that in here as well. We'll talk a little bit about how this might affect your migration strategy, and then just resources and support along the way. Additional resources, because we do have a lot of resources. So the first thing we want to talk about is why upgrade. And I know we've had a lot of presentations about this, so I won't spend a ton of time, but I really just want to highlight a couple of items. And it is important. Some of this is new, I think, since some of our latest presentations on it. But there's a whole section on the value of upgrading in that community article. So we're talking about the multi-level KPI breakdown. But even if you don't have, that does require RaptorDB Pro. But even if you don't have RaptorDB Pro, the unified analytics experience is a huge benefit for customers, for every single customer. Does not require anything additional other than just platform analytics Pro. So anytime you've got like Pro with the actually unified analytics is for everything, but specifically in relation to things like indicators and KPI insights, and those are all things that any customer that had performance analytics indicator capabilities in the past will have these capabilities going forward. Faster performance, improved KPI load times. So just a cleaner analytics environment, and some of that is AI powered, but I just want to kind of make some note of that about the general value. The big theme we want to make here is from data to decisions. So a standard business intelligence tool is all about data. And we're really trying to move beyond that. You've heard us say probably more times than you would like to hear, we're not a BI tool. And we're not. And we are not, but I think more than ever, we are now starting to offer capabilities that go beyond what BI tools can do. So it's less about how much data can I see, more about actually guiding you to helping you get insights from the data. So in some ways, we're actually talking about just like maybe bypassing the analyst role. It doesn't mean you're going to completely remove your BI tools. In no way, shape, or form are we suggesting that. If you want, deeper, really deep dive data analytics experts doing it, yeah, you still want your data warehouses, your BI tools, and so forth. But if we're talking about giving your end users the ability to generate some of their own insights without having to go through the a very involved data analysis process, we have that here. So it's moving from what happened to what should we do faster. That's really one of my main themes from this. So let's see. Oh, we did that one right. So connected data and empower users. So we have some of the new capabilities: data, AI, Data Explorer, workflow data fabric. This is identifying. It's much more. It's taking the natural language query that we have that still exists, but it's taking that concept and making it I'm really oversimplifying, but and making it a much more feature rich. It's making it so I can actually get insights from it. I can share my insights with others. I can add notes that I can end up presenting to senior leadership or executives. But the idea is getting a lot more decisions from your data based upon using the native ServiceNow AI tools. So that's a big part of it. And we did a previous presentation on that specifically, but you'll definitely be, if you haven't seen it yet, go back and find it. But there is a lot of information. The other big thing we'll say is the One Analytics Center, unified navigations for dashboards, visualizations, KPIs, all under one roof, unified filters. We've been talking about that for several releases now, but I think that is a massive win. And we did do an academy, probably Thomas can't remember when, maybe a year and a half ago, where we did a deeper dive on filtering
Yep.
in platform analytics.
Yeah, and
So
I'll share that in the chat. Yep.
yeah, so that's also a great resource for you. So there's lots of things that we have talked about, but I just wanted to make and some things coming forward. AI-driven suggestions to improve visualizations, flagging outdated content. So some of that is some of the future looking, but that'll all be only if you are using platform analytics experience instead of core UI. There are some admin and governance updates. Some of these are in Zurich release and store, so Zurich capable. So centralized admin visibility. So it's the dashboard, the views for the different libraries, dashboards, visualizations, and so forth become smart libraries that if you have a okay, I think it's the one of you, Marta or Ola, one of you guys can probably correct me. I can't remember exactly which role, but I know the the platform analytics admin dashboard. I think dashboard admin has that as well. But so additional information available, including things like how show me dashboards that haven't been used in the last 6 months. Show me indicators that are not actually on any any data visualizations, for example. That sort of information. So the ability to also activate, deactivate, delete in mass. So you can, so that's, so you can do a lot more of the administrative tasks at scale as opposed to having to go into each individual. There's a lot of cool things coming with that. Some of the things upcoming in Australia, it's cross library search. So this is including, so in other words, what we're talking about here is searching. When you start talking about libraries now, we're really talking about a library for dashboards, a library for data visualizations, a library for filters, all the different components that make up what you end up seeing on a dashboard or embedded in a workspace. These are all the individual components. So cross library search, unified inventory, so single library for core UI and next experience dashboards. So right now, today, if you're trying to run a parallel environment, a user would have to go to a different dashboard screen to get access to the core UI dashboards versus the platform analytics dashboards. In Australia, that's all put together, and there'll be an identifier to show you which experience is being used by that dashboard, but it does tell you that. Built-in filters to support migration planning and targeting, consolidated administration, and coming some proactive AI assisted management for those who have Now Assist capabilities. So we can do a lot more proactive flagging. but there still will be filters just available on the main screens, the main dashboard screens, to tell you, show me the dashboards that haven't been viewed, or show me that, or haven't been updated in X amount of time. Okay. Before I go into the next section, are there any questions relevant that we should answer live at this point?
I mean, there's a lot of questions that are about migration in general. Marta's answering a lot of them, but
Okay.
Marta, do you think there's any here that we should grab now and do live, or let Dan keep going?
I think Dana can go on as of
Okay.
now.
Okay.
All right. So Australia within 2026, the big note is the timelines. Now we are now aligning the Australia release with the Knowledge 26 conference. So the Australia release is targeted for May. And so and again, with the message we've been putting out forever, and you've heard many, many times, hopefully, is that core UI dashboards and reports are not going away. So there's not a forced migration, but there will be limited support on them. So you can still keep using them. You can use them side by side. You can use them concurrently with new platform analytics content. But Australia forward, you cannot create new core UI content. So not new core UI dashboard. So anything new would need to be created in platform analytics. And I really want to, I cannot stress enough, I want to encourage you today, if you haven't already, start using platform analytics dashboards. And we have a lot of content. In addition to this content, we have a lot of content to help you get there. So yeah, we have a good community reference on the link to the update on the timing in this, so on what's happening with this. The recommended migration approach now. Don't let core UI migration block platform analytics adoption. That's the big thing. Say start building content in platform analytics. Or now it's starting with Zurich. You can very easily just say, hey, I want to try migrating this one dashboard, if you want to try migration, and see how that works, and then maybe play with what adjustments I might need to make, or just creating brand new content. So our general theme on this is, so build new analytics, legacy dashboards, continue working during your transition. Plan to rebuild a small set of complex dashboards natively. And we hope for most customers, it should be a small set, but some of the guidance in the blog will talk about that. Don't force one-for-one migration for highly customized. So if you have dashboards that have a lot of custom code on them, if you have a lot of custom code, particularly within content blocks and things of that sort, those would be good examples of dashboards that I would probably want to keep using in core UI for now, and then as time allows, start recreating them in platform analytics. Those will probably need to use the technical dashboards to recreate, just as a heads up on that. Okay, common upgrade issues. So this is where we start getting into the article, some of the details of the article on just getting ready for it, but then also a lot of the things that we have targeted here. And this is just a cross section of some of the issues. It doesn't identify every issue in the article, so it's just trying to whet your appetite for it. And we did identify, you notice some of these say common, occasional. There's some that say rare as well. What that means is, based upon what we have seen so far, what is the reach of it? Is something that's common that probably many customers will see, or if is it occasional, not every scenario, and rare is where it's usually something that's very, very specific, but based upon your environment, you might have the same criteria. So that's just something to be aware of. So limited dot walking, some additional clicks required for filter configuration. So my bullet point got messed up. Content blocks may need manual layout fixes, and that's occasional. Time series drill down with group by fails. Notice there is a lot of these have fixes identified on it too. Fix identified. Dual axis time series migrates blank, and there was a fix that in the store release 2020 in February, so this month. And most visualization issues are fixed or have clear workarounds available. That's the main theme from this. And I will reference here again. I'm going to go back to the article here again and just kind of show a few of these. So like the limited dot walking, we're talking about, it's a planned enhancement. Right now it's post Australia to actually do a fix from a migration perspective. But you were telling you can, some of the things you can do, use saved report data sources as templates. So with additional clicks required to add filters. So we're trying to put in here as much as possible. And that's some of these, and even identifying, we're trying to be clear too about when there's things that we're just not able to address. So it's mainly like this particular one, misalignment or blank content after migration. So particularly when it's content blocks or JSON. So it's pretty rare. We did identify. So if you want to talk to support about some of them, we did put in like the PRB numbers, which is only support is available to see, but also KB numbers on the knowledge. And some of the reason for this, like for this one, we cannot fix because there is a high risk of breaking other visualizations and dashboards. Any potential fix for this. So there is some rationale. So we're trying to explain some of these things too. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one of them. Some of them are under investigation still. So if you want to provide feedback on any of these, if it's more general feedback, if it's specific to your use case, definitely still contact support around them. If you need more information about what some of these mean, you can do that. But if you have just some general feedback about some of this, please do feel free to add comments, because I will definitely be monitoring the comments and feedback on this article regularly. This is intended to be a regularly updated document. So some of these things so for example, the time series widget, the second access migrating blank. So we have a fix. There's a February store release. There's a Yokohama compatible release that I found that was actually last month, but that's again, upgrade the migration center. So that's a migration specific. So we're trying to tell you what you might need to upgrade to get fixes as well. Exporting, I'm going to go back to my deck. Exporting behavior gaps. So on exports, we know that there are some issues with exports. And like, for example, one of them was limited export formats. So I think there was, so that not all of the formats that were available previously are there. And there's some Zurich, and there's even going to be some more improvements. So the Zurich, I believe the Zurich one's still going to be an updated platform analytics plugin store app. So you should be able to get that, from the platform analytics store app. And in some cases, we're identifying where backports were available for pre-Zurich potentially. Although most of the fixes we're still kind of expecting it'll be on a Zurich instance or later. There are some limited occurrences where we have done some Yokohama backports. Export widget reordering. I'll say, oh, wait, I got too far. Yes, URI too long errors. So if some of these sound familiar, we have documented them, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is not a list of every single issue that we've come across. It's trying to capture that, the major themes, the themes that are more likely to be seen. Now, there's some rare ones that could have a bigger impact. So if you don't see your issue here, definitely please do contact support. It doesn't mean that we don't have a PRB or a knowledge article on it yet. It just means that we have not updated this document yet to reference it. So, some data source and filtering behaviors. So we know that there are things with like filters clearing when switching data sources. So this is that's something that we know. It's not a fun workaround that you need to re-add your data sources, but it is still something that is on the roadmap for a post-Australia fix. Filters cleared when switching list to chart, particularly between lists. That we do have in the February 2026 store apps. Oh, sorry, I keep on jumping ahead, keep on using my mouse. We talked about the dual access time series. Okay, that was the exporting data sources. Oh, the complex NQ based filters. A lot of, when I looked at that, even I would say to myself, what? When we're talking about what I would call like the big or conditions. So if I have my conditions for my data source I want these 3 conditions to be met, or this other set of 4 conditions to be met to meet my query. That's the kind of scenario that we're talking about. And that some of those would fail. So now that is fixed in the DataViz plugin, so essentially it means the Platform Analytics store app. There is also a known issue with cascading filters not available for choice fields specifically. That is an enhancement. That is a planned enhancement, but there's something that we are aware of. It's going to take takes a little more effort to get it to get that one addressed. Doesn't mean we won't do them. So, but we definitely are always open to feedback about what might help getting things set up faster or something of that sort. So accessibility improvements. So there are some issues with screen reader. Screen reader not notified, so assistive technologies may not announce detail panels properly. And that's something we've seen on occasional, and that is in Australia. That is technically, it's right now, it's targeted for an Australia fix to that. The required field visibility, required fields may not be communicated clearly to screen readers, and that is also an Australia planned fix. Invalid date ranges not announced, so users relying on assistive tech may not get feedback when date ranges are invalid. That's the primary scenario for that, and that is also an Australia fix. Some of these. So, and we do understand some of the scenarios where that is critical. And again, where they are critical, the number one workaround is keep that particular content in Core UI for now, and then start testing on migrating some of that content, maybe even piece by piece. It's up to you how much you want to do that. Migrate it once you get to Australia, but do some tests. Always do tests in a sub-prod just to see it's getting you the results that you want. And that's the theme really for migration in general. Always, always, always migrate, do any kind of migration in a sub-prod test environment first, and then before trying the migration in your production. So some things. So again, some of this is repeat from what I just talked about. But these are things that have been. This is just a listing of some of the things that we know have already been fixed via store plugins. So like the filters clearing, duplicate API calls in Migration Center. So just some of the things that we've talked about throughout, and that's listed in the document. Some of the fixes, some of the major fixes and improvements coming in Australia. So scheduled exports will honor filters properly. That was one that we've definitely heard about. Export failures from URI length limits resolved, and that's again coming with Australia. So a lot of these, and then we mentioned the core UI deprecation. Just in general, we're improving migration. One thing I want to say about the migration experience, just because core UI you can't add new content to core in Australia in core UI, doesn't mean we're going to stop updating the Migration Center. There's still updates to the Migration Center that are planned post Australia. So I just want you to be aware of that. So we fully understand that there's going to be customers that are still going to keep content in Core UI for some content in Core UI for now, But so we will continue updating the migration center. I don't know specifically how much longer we will, but for sure I know we're looking at Brazil and potentially going forward. I don't know if Marta, if we can say anything more about that at this point.
No, not currently.
That's probably all we can say at this point. So yeah. But it's the idea is we're not ignoring it after Australia, and even fixes during Australia. So, and again, we have planned improvements beyond this, some of the biggies. And these are all called out in the document as well. How it impacts migration strategy. And again, this is a lot of this is in the article as well, but in general, always install the latest Migration Center and Platform Analytics Store plugins. So that will address a lot of the known issues and for whatever release you're on. So, for example, some of the store apps are only available Zurich and forward, or some of them will be Australia forward, for example. So just make sure you update your Migration Center and Platform Analytics Store apps to the most recent version that is compatible with your release. We're talking about a post-migration checklist, properties, roles, ACLs. I do have, that's a document, that's one of those documents that's in about 75% completion right now. So that's one of them I'm going to ask you about. Hopefully that's what I'm planning to get out first, is a kind of a post-migration checklist to help. Again, it's not going to address every single issue, but it should help with a lot. Clear both server and browser cache after schema changes and migrations. So that's an issue that some of the issues that have come up are addressed simply by clearing server and browser caches. So feel free to share the PRBs that I list in the article and the KB numbers with ServiceNow support if you want deeper assistance on it. We certainly hope that we can help support and we can help you, so the issues that, oh, okay, I see that issue is already out there, so I probably don't need to call support because they know about it. That is certainly one of our purposes here, but it's also just for transparency. We want to be real transparent. We want to show you that we are being proactive, that we are really trying, that we know that with any major upgrade like this, there's going to be issues and things to consider and new things that come up that maybe we hadn't even seen before. So we're really trying to be as transparent as possible about this. So, but I am thrilled that our dev team has been so proactive about this. So I feel really good supporting them because they've been great about getting a lot of these updates out there. Let's see, plan UAT testing for critical dashboards before fully retiring their core UI counterparts. And document known limitations for users. So feel free to steal from our list, for example. So and I wanted to see if there was anything else. Actually, I'm going to finish up the deck here, and then I'm going to see what other questions we might have. So when I'm talking some of the planned documents, some of the next planned resources available to you, I mentioned a post-migration checklist. Another one that's in the works is a pre-migration guide, kind of a decision matrix to help you decide what dashboards or what content you might be better off keeping in core UI and what content you should migrate and what content you should just rebuild natively. So some of the stuff keeping in core UI might be because we have something coming soon that's going to address it. That's not addressed yet. So that's another option. So the two options here so far is a post-migration checklist. A second one would be like a decision matrix to help you make decisions on what I should migrate now hold off to migrate later, or just plan to rebuild. So that's some of the it's decision matrix, some of the things to consider. Where to get help? ServiceNow community. We definitely talk about these a lot. Platform analytics blog for updates and guidance. So we'll continue updating this blog, and you're familiar, if you're not already, the Migration Center. That is another resource available, and I think Thomas has his list of resources at the end of that will include a lot of this. ServiceNow support. Again, feel free to share any PRB or KB numbers for specific issues. It will, if it's something that we have not updated on this guide yet, support will have the most recent information on any of those planned fixes. And again, but keep in mind, whenever we talk about planned fixes, there's always no guarantee that the fix will be available at any specific time, but we are planning to. Again, the Academy sessions, monthly. Monthly sessions. Oh, I messed up. I should know my own biweekly sessions. And definitely bookmark this community post. Yeah. I see the laughter. Yeah, it's like we should know my own stuff, right? That's okay. And so we're up to
Yeah, we
question.
have a few, so
Okay.
you can either take them or I can, but I know Marta has one or a couple that she has flagged to answer live, so maybe we can start with that, and then Dan, maybe we just go down the
Yeah,
list if you want.
let's do it.
Marta?
Yes, I've marked the one from Steve. We are on Yokohama and now I'm moving to Australia in May. For users that can see reports and dashboards today, will their access be impacted for not new items created in Platform Analytics on Australia? So all on upgrade of Australia, all the users that have currently core UI access to report and dashboards will still have view and edit access to all of that content. The limitation is actually on creating new items. So it's like when you are in the platform analytics and the new dashboards and data visualization library pages that will have a combined view of like the core UI content and the platform analytics content, then when the user click on create new, they will actually only go and use the new platform analytics capability. So the new dashboard inline editor experience or the new visualization designer to create the data visualizations.
Okay, are there any more flagged to be answered live?
I don't think I flagged anything else.
Okay. A lot of these may be super redundant too, so if we answer one, it may answer some others, but I guess we'll just start
Yeah.
from the top. Dan, you had something?
No, go ahead. Actually, I was just saying there was one other comment on here, and I just saw in the chat that I think is really, really important to mention. And that is that if you are an impact customer, there are jump starts available to assist you in this, both on the migration and then just using the new platform analytics experience. So there's a couple of different impact accelerators available for you. So okay.
Yeah. I'll try to bring those links. I'll grab those
Yeah.
links, Dan, if you want to go to the next question or something.
Yeah. Let's see. Planning to share a platform analytics governance document or best practices. We do have a governance document that still is primarily relevant, but it is a couple years old. And so any of the visuals are not updated for platform analytics. But that's another one of the documents. So that's going to be the third one that I'm talking about, kind of the in the works to help us prioritize what's going to be the greatest value for our customers is an updated governance document on, like suggested roles, where you do the different pieces of work, things of that sort. So yeah, that's a great question. And I will add that to my list of, I want to throw out the ideas for what I'll ask you to do is put in the chat what will be the most important to you, and then I'm taking this very informal poll, so I didn't have time to add it to the Zoom presentation. Okay, We are in Zurich now and have tried the individual migration on Core UI reports that are scheduled reports. The report migrates to a data visualization, but the scheduled report doesn't convert to a scheduled export. Is this expected behavior that we have to manually reschedule? So it's not on a dashboard, it's just a standalone scheduled report. So I'm going to throw that out there for the panel since I don't know that specific answer. Marta, do you know anything about
Which
that
one?
particular one?
Sorry, I'm trying to answer
Oh,
and
I know, and I appreciate
at
that.
the
But this is
same
a
time.
question about scheduled report that in Core UI that is not converting to a scheduled export in PA in Platform Analytics. Is that expected or something?
It is expected only when the scheduled report in Core UI is actually scheduling for a report that we don't have a one-to-one migration path to data visualization. So if it's a Core UI report that we do not know and we cannot migrate to data visualization, then the schedule report will stay active in its current form in Core UI and will still be working.
Thank you. Thank you there. Right. We have next one, Claire. We have an issue after migration where some visualizations, particularly those with drill downs, will load after migration in Visualization Designer, but the exact same visualization will not load when being viewed on a dashboard. So it's in the Visualization Designer or in the visualization data visualizations library list, is what I'm assuming you're saying here. When I created a case months ago, I was told to just recreate the visualization manually, but that's not scalable. Yeah. I have another example now. Is this a common issue? And if so, is there a proposed fix? So I have not. So it's in the visualization library, but not loading at all on the dashboard. I'm looking through my list here. That's not one that I am familiar with. Does that sound familiar to anyone that we've seen? Because
No, Claire, can you send us an email with the case? Because I think you mentioned that there was a case
yeah, or
in the
even you
past.
could also put it in the
Or yeah, if you put it in the chat.
chat, and there's also I think a way within the chat you can target just the like the host and panelists. Maybe I can't remember if you can or not, but if you can put that in the chat, that would help us out. Appreciate it. Let's see, we have an anonymous attendee. My company doesn't have priority upgrading on the Platform Analytics plugin. I'm not sure what that means.
I think it means that they are probably from the admin side that they are not upgrading constantly the plugin or don't deem it as a priority to upgrade it constantly.
Yeah, because I am not aware of any limitations that ServiceNow puts on plugin availability other than that it's compatible with the release that your instance is on. That would be the only thing that's so if that can
Yeah, that I'm also not aware of any, like there isn't any automatic upgrade process for the store plugins currently in place, except for when we force it on a family release upgrade. We always do that, so we always have the newest version on the family release upgrade first, but not if we release anything afterwards. And that one will need to be downloaded and installed directly from the store.
Kim has a really good question. Just wondering if that we won't upgrade until Brazil, but we're going to start the migration. If things are in Australia, do I assume that they're not available to use until we upgrade next? No. The only thing that you wouldn't get. Are you saying is that you're not upgrading Australia? Okay, does that mean? I assume that means you're skipping Australia. That's is what I guess I'm hearing there. So yes, if things are fixed in Australia, that is correct. You would not see those fixes until you went to Brazil. So that is the plan at this point. There will be trying to think so there. I mean, keep checking back because there's scenarios where we will have backports to Zurich, but generally, I think things that we're backporting to Zurich we have already identified, but that doesn't mean we won't add some new ones. So it's certainly possible. But your general assumption is true. Yeah. Asking if the platform analytics PRB is represented here. No, this is not a comprehensive list. So did not see many of the PRBs for those issues. So yeah, that's does include pre-Zurich patch 6 items. Nope. This could be pre-Zurich patch 6. No, it is not a comprehensive list. It's something that is still being updated regularly. We wanted to get, because this is something that customers have been asking for a while. We wanted to get something out there that at least provided a good start on guidance, and then more content will be updated over time. I've got some workflows set up so that we can get that updated a little more easily. So there's a question that was anonymous. If I add Core UI dashboards and reports to my favorites, will they automatically point to the migrated version once they are available? Yeah, they should. We have migrated all the reports and dashboards, but the dashboards and reports in favorites are not redirecting to the migrated. It's taking it to the core let's see, because now with Zurich, if I'm upgrading the individual components, that should update links to those like favorites. Is that, Marta? I'm going to put you on the spot on this one, unfortunately, but
so if the Core UI dashboard is migrated for all, and the new migrated version is active, and the Core UI version is active equals false, so is inactive, then by default there should be for all your business users, so all your fulfillers, there will be a redirection to the migrated version, to the new platform analytics version. If this is not happening, then most probably there is an issue somewhere. It might be a defect. The intention is like if the Core UI dashboard is migrated and the new version in Platform Analytics is actually active, then the user should be automatically redirected to the migrated version. And as I see in the chat, is yes, the migrated content can have a different SysID than before, but we do store what has been migrated from Core UI version to the new Platform Analytics dashboard version. So we are actually able to redirect if there are favorites as well.
thank you. I'm trying to type something here and there too, and I keep doing typos. Okay. So one question, Gonzalo saying that we have some cases submitted and got some of them are solution proposed with the idea that this is, it's expected behavior in platform analytics. And some of them, and most of these are functionalities that are lost if you compare it with performance analytics. So you're asking users to keep core UI reports and dashboards due to some limitations like that without solutions. Are we going to have some kind of exception? No, and I'll say no. That will allow us to keep creating core UI reports. The plan right now is no, but you will have the ability to update or edit any existing core UI reports going forward. That's not changing. For most of those other scenarios, there's a couple of paths. One would be to, submit ideas, because that's but identify it specifically as a functionality gap. as opposed, so that's like, those can get a little higher priority. But then you can, if you're, so you can, let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the other things. Oh, another big one that we would recommend in a lot of those scenarios are trying to recreate, because a lot of the functionality is just something that's not available by default in like the inline dashboard editor, but maybe things you can do in the technical editor. And I understand that that's not a great solution in all scenarios, but in those could be in some of those scenarios, a situation where we'd say you may want to, over time, recreate as platform analytics dashboards. And some of those will probably need to be in the technical editor. So it's not a perfect answer. We recognize that. But you can also work with your account executive, and if you can give them a list of like the visualizations, they can pass them on to us, and we can put them in. We also have a tracking system. We use the idea portal a lot, but the idea portal is probably going to be best. But if you do those, if you would also send that information on to us, if you want to contact, we have some of our emails available. That would be helpful too, is to let us know that you've put something in the idea portal so we can get it, so we can help push it along. Okay. Let's see, we're 10 minutes here, so only 24 left to go. Scheduled visualizations and dashboards. Can you look into functionality that will send to dynamic recipients from the table supporting the report? Example is sending dynamically overdue incidents to only those assignees that have overdue tickets. Yeah, I seem to remember there being something right now. I would say that's probably something that could be done within a flow designer flow. I seem to recall that there was some discussion about putting some kind of dynamic capabilities in the scheduled exports. But anyone on the panel have any thoughts on that?
I think you're
Because my first
locked in
thought
on
would
answering
be
questions, typed questions. Yeah.
okay. Because my first thought would be that is something that would be a good use case for a flow designer flow, because you can do a lot of automations with pretty limited technical skills, or at least it's a lot easier. I realize not most users don't have the access to create flow designer flows, but there are a lot. It is a much broader audience than just pure platform admins. But yeah, that's definitely something that we will consider, and we have the Q&As here. So that's part of the reason we like you to put them in the Q&A. So then we have these. Their requests and questions are much better documented when they're here in the Q&A list. Was that a fair statement there, Thomas?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Questions or these kind of requests to look at things are much better documented if they're in the Q&A panel.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah, that's something just to be aware of. So yeah. My understanding previous answers correctly. Standalone as well as integrated reports can still be edited in Core UI. Correct. No new reports can be created once you upgrade to Australia. That's correct. If I need to create a new report after Australia, standalone or integrated dashboard, the only option is creating is a data visualization. Yes, data visualizations are the uniform way to create reports. If it's a standalone report, it's a data visualization. Data visualizations can also be visualizations based upon indicators, that the performance analytics indicators. But if you're creating new reports, it is a data visualization. So in this case, the data visualization needs to be embedded in my self-service dashboard. Do I need to migrate it? So if I have an existing report and I want to embed it in a self-service dashboard, I don't know that answer. Are the old performance analytics? Yeah, you should. I mean, you should be, if it's existing, you should be able to put it into a dashboard. Oof, I don't know. I'm trying to think about that. That we may have to do a follow-up on, because that's a very good question. So we will mark that. Or
Yeah, we'll be following up on a lot of these questions.
yeah,
There's no way we're going to be able to get through them all.
yeah. I know. Cascaded grouping and list views would also be very appreciated. Cascaded grouping and list views. Oh, okay. So it's okay. I think I see what you're talking about there, but we may have to follow up on that as well to see exactly because that it sounds intriguing to me. An issue with migrating report. To see if there's anything that's just like a really quick one we can answer, and then the more in-depth ones we may have to do a follow-up on. I like the idea of gamification innovations and trophies be able to be added. So that's an interesting suggestion. I think that from an anonymous attendee. Article or doc about recommended number of tabs and visualizations. I know we've done some, Thomas, I know we've done some good practices. I think some of our
Yeah, was there another
expert
question about? I know I typed one question.
article about or
Questions.
doc about recommended number of tabs or visualizations per tab on one dashboard.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
there a
I
limit?
don't know that there's any pure documentation or anything. I mean, I know that we've definitely spoke about it before. I think that probably everybody on this call would tell you a good rule of thumb I think I've always heard like no more than like 8 or 11 tabs and no more visualizations on a tab than before you have to start scrolling. I think it's probably a good rule of thumb, but I don't know that there's a documented and Marta Olga. I don't think so. Like this is what you should do, no more than this. I think it's trial by error type situation. But I've always built dashboards where if I have to scroll on a tab to see data visualizations, then there's already too many. And then I don't think I've ever had a dashboard with more than 9 or 10 tabs. But I don't know that there's any sort of functionality loss if you have more than that. But it can easily get out of control, right? So, but Olga and Marta hadn't spoke up, so I don't know that there's an actual default
Yeah,
no
I
more
don't
than
think
this
we
number.
have
They're
an official,
trying.
I don't think we have an official documentation or
Yeah.
something internally for the BUs to follow. I don't think we had any customer facing. I agree kind of with the recommendation from the technical perspective. If this is from the user perspective, right, and the usage, people be able to understand the dashboard itself and intent, right? It's how you group data and how much information you have not to overload the user and easily find information. From the performance standpoint, especially in platform analytics, we are doing a lot of behind the scene to handle all the scenarios of like having the lazy loading. So if you have too much stuff on the page, we just load first things which user sees, and then behind the scenes start to load other stuff. So then when you scroll down, it's there, the same like the preloading of the content of the other tabs done on the background. So we're trying to optimize that. So I don't think there's too much from the performances. If you're trying to make charts very small that you try to fit them in the visible part of the screen, that probably will be bad for the performance or perceived performance.
Yeah, and there's a couple comments, right, that you can put a lot of single scores on one page, like 30, depending on the size. That's true. And there can be over 100 visualization scorecards and list on a tab. It's been tested. That's true as well. So I think it
It
really
will be
just comes
slow,
down
like
to how efficient you do it. I mean, we're just trying to give you like a
no, but it's like
baseline.
if you put 30 single scores on the page, it's a almost impossible to read, but it will be slow because you need
Yeah.
it, you're all visible for the users and you need to
Yeah.
get 30 queries, and it does, I think, 5 at a time or
Yeah.
something like this.
I do
So
just
you
want.
will see a lot of spinners happening, so that's not ideal, but yeah, it's also like
Yeah,
making
I hate to interrupt, but I apologize for interrupting. But I want to jump this in before everybody leaves. I just if you could put in the chat real quick. Again, I mentioned a couple of possible of the follow-ups are being worked on. Just what would be most important to you from a priority perspective? A post-migration checklist, a pre-migration matrix that helps you decision matrix for what you should migrate, what you shouldn't migrate, and what you should recreate manually. An updated governance document. Let's see, those are the three. And if you have anything else specifically that you'd thought of, you put that in the chat as well. Just wanted to mention that real quick. Just want to get some sort of very informal sense of, what should we get out there first? So.
Yeah. And there's a lot coming through, Dan, so we'll grab that before we leave here.
Excellent.
But for the
Excellent.
yeah, sake of time, it is the top of the hour. Obviously, there are about 16 questions, or there might be some comments in that as well that we didn't get to, and we'll try to take those offline and get answers for those for everyone. So, for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Thank you, Dan. Very informative, and I knew it was going to drive tons of questions, and they're great questions. So we just need to find answers and solutions and things like that, which we are actively doing that. So good stuff, Dan. So
Thanks.
make sure you're utilizing. There's other academies, there's other sessions, live sessions. There's other great stuff that's out there. So if you scan this QR code, you can actually see all of those events. There's quite a few in the exchange now. AI Data Explorer, Dan talked about it a little bit earlier. So if you're not familiar with that, you should definitely be taking a look at that QR code and a link there. Data snapshots, unlimited filters. If you're on Yokohama and RaptorDB Pro, would be a really cool thing for you and enable on an indicator, and you can get unlimited filtering. We talked about ServiceNow Impact earlier. I shared a couple links, but those are out there. Training and certification, obviously, expert services. If you have some of that, definitely be utilizing that as well. And in a couple weeks, Marta's going to talk about Platform Analytics Australia default experience, some changes there. So we talked about that a little bit today, but she'll go in depth with that and some demos on that. So with that, we appreciate everybody. Dan, thank you again. Olga, Marta, thank you for answering questions, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Thank you.